Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Impact Series. I will be your host today, Michael Palmer, founder and lead recruiter here at 4Zero, and thrilled to be joined by Simon Bale, who is founder and managing director of climony. So, Simon, welcome.
Hi, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. It's a pleasure to have you, Simon. So, look, Simon, could you give us an introduction into the business? So, could you tell us a bit about climony? Tell us, what you're helping to do in terms of climate and your solution to some of those climate issues we're facing.
Sure. So, in essence, climony simplifies climate action by putting them measurable on a personalized reduction roadmap for our users. So we are a consumer-facing B2C application, currently, unfortunately, only available in the German iOS and app Play Store.
Yep.
Nonetheless, soon we will also be available in other European countries.
Fantastic.
And the idea behind climony really is a rather strategic approach towards reducing carbon emissions in the general society. And that has kind of the backup that I used to work in management consulting before. And due to that, I really like 2x2 charts. And when we start really about what we can do in order to leap towards net zero emissions, I kind of really thought of like in this typical 2x2 chart logics and putting the scope of people involved on the y-axis and the time frame in which the action or impact occurs on the x-axis, you're really only left with kind of 4 major areas in which a general member of society can get active for climate without radicalizing them or without being a politician or a CEO of a DAX company, for example. And it really goes from individual and short-term towards collective and long-term. And the 4 major, let's say, aspects of this 2x2 chart is really individual short-term, aka behavior change. So doing everything that's within your control as a user, as a person, as a member of society, kind of like going with the Gandhi saying, be the change you want to see. These are all actions that we are suggesting you on a personal level that you can do basically tomorrow, like riding the bike instead of taking the car to work, unless it's like 30+ kilometers. And really the things that often our users also really start or consider when starting with to get more active for the climate. However, these are usually the least impactful ones. That doesn't mean they're not important, but it means there are much larger levers that people also have. For example, the individual long-term bracket, which is kind of going by investing your money where your values are, checking your pension funds, however, also influencing the market dynamics by changing the demand side and really, purchasing consciously, ethically, products and services that are, so to say, ecological and economical, meaningful, and kind of really help you either avoid CO2 emissions directly, such as a heat pump, or, for example, reduce them strategically or grow an impact strategically through, for example, investments in clean energy. Or lastly, really consuming products and services that are developed around being the least environmentally damaging one, meaning there are tons of cheap products out there built basically on the cost of the environment, and there are opposites to those. And we want to foster change and demand towards those kind of products, services, in order to really help shift market dynamics.
Okay, interesting. And that's so. And your approach to that is, I think you described it as kind of like as a climate coach, correct?
Exactly.
So you're kind of guiding your users through this journey by way of an app, right?
Yes, exactly.
In their pocket.
Exactly. So really the aim is, you said it quite perfectly, it's being a climate coach, kind of doing the legwork that most of our users or the people we talked to when we initially started the project are kind of overwhelmed with. You know, there's tons of information out there. You're constantly worried of being greenwashed. There is conflicting information. Some quote per capita, per day, per country. There's like a real overload of information for anyone who really wants to strategically understand what are the biggest levers in order to reduce carbon emissions and get more active. So this is what we simplify, and really evaluating your personal approach to climate, how you get active already, what you like to do in the future, and then really based on that, creating like this impact roadmap, helping you to strategically reduce. And beyond that, even increase positive effort, and that's the yet not mentioned collective part. So far, we only had individual short-term and individual long-term. On the collective side, however, we can obviously grow much more effective if we, on the short term, support petitions or projects that really help shift towards a more conscious and environmental friendly society. These can be projects such as afforestation or support of negative emission technologies such as direct air capture by Climeworks that really reduce carbon emissions from the atmosphere in the now, with the help of our users' investments, or as before mentioned, the petitions, for example, on reducing plastic waste for a healthier ocean environment. And on the long-term side, on the collective level, we really provide our users the type of information on how to grow to become kind of change agents in their social systems. That's kind of the idea. We all talk about system change, not climate change, and completely neglecting that we're part of various social economical systems in which we can grow effective if we know how to. And the idea here really is to provide our users the kind of information on how to successfully establish a green circle at their workplace, or how to involve in climate discussions with this one family member who still doesn't believe in climate change. And through this concept of creating awareness, this is obviously for some of in our green bubble, super unintuitive, that there's still the need of providing just basic knowledge. But there is, and I'm happy that we have partners such as climatescience.org who really help us to create and distribute that knowledge within our user group.
So in terms of your users, so they're kind of part of the climony community. So they're kind of part of, so they're all kind of socially conscious individuals who are wanting to reduce their impact,
to grow more impactful. Yeah.
So either individually via their own actions in terms of the goods and services they buy, but also potentially, like you said, setting up a green circle and helping to kind of bring more people in, kind of convince a family member who perhaps, like you said, doesn't believe in climate change, or when you say green circle, what do you mean by that? Can you elaborate on that for me?
So green circle is, for example, what I did at my previous employer, where I've been climate officer. And the idea here really is to connect the kind of individuals within your company in a Slack channel, through a mail, through a bi-weekly geofix, who really want to shift in the company, want to advocate in the company to shift for more sustainable business practices, more sustainable suppliers, also perhaps new products and services. And here we really can provide, based on the different functions people are having in their jobs, to what is a usual best practice in that job. So for example, if you work in finance, how about suggesting an internal carbon price? Just to guide decision makings in case there might be a carbon price coming policy-wise that will have to be introduced anyways in potentially the future. But also if you're working in HR or various functions, there's kind of the knowledge that you can download through our application in order to grow most effective there. So it's really creating this community of change makers within the company or the social setting, organization, whatever, and nurturing them kind of with the input that works in different locations already. So really, again, simplifying and sharing best practices.
Okay, so a lot of useful, a lot of easily understandable, easily digestible information that can be gleaned from the app.
Exactly.
Well, what about in terms of things like purchasing and is there like a marketplace in which you wanted to buy you need to go and buy a new pair of jeans or you need to go and buy something? Is it how does it work in that scenario?
Sure. So the question basically is how we generate revenues, right? And I love this question. I think it's super important as a let's say impact focused or company to be super transparent about this. And transparency really is our core value in our communication approach. So I'm very glad about this question. We basically have three sorts of revenue streams. These are which are connected with the type of in-app actions that you can pursue. I've already mentioned our 4 areas of action, right? So going first from individual ones, if we are providing knowledge, right, on the best options that you can do in order to reduce carbon emissions. This can be, as before mentioned, the heat pump. So what we're doing here is we evaluate where our users' emissions come from in the household. And based on that, we are suggesting them actions, products, and services that help them to reduce. And through those actions that we're recommending, for example, a sustainable marketplace, a marketplace for sustainable fashion, or the recommendation to one of our partners, heat pump installers, there we generate an affiliate margin or a sales margin, so to say. This is the first part. So what we're really doing is we're on the B2B, we have a B2B part. And in this part, we are building a community of products or brands, better said, who we have sustainability at their core, who provide services that are ecological and economical meaningful. So they have both positive impact on the climate, but also can generate revenues for us and the partner. So here we are building this exclusive network of brands who, with us together, educate our users about the products and services they're offering, why they're better, how they grow effective, all in a super transparent and open way that we can suggest our users to consume instead of more damaging ones or instead of ones that in general just do not take climate into consideration. Those brands, in order to stay exclusive on our platform, I mean, we are growing rapidly in terms of user base, and it's a competitive advantage for them to be part of our community instead of their competitors paying a partnership fee that we then later on reinvest in our marketing efforts in order to grow even a larger community. And also our partners, all as their non-competing ones, they all combine their reach in our platform by posting about us. So really the idea is to be this marketplace, not exactly, but this exclusive community of brands, products that offer product services to new and let's say sustainability at the core thinking approach. That we do monetize mostly. However, as we've also mentioned, we do offer a topic of CO2 compensation or the donation towards CO2 saving projects. And here, when our users pursue these actions, we do take a 15% margin on that, which is really the basics to cover our costs for the fees, and obviously some part that we go then and take to pay our salaries or additionally invest into marketing to reach more users to take more actions. So, and this is why I'm so proud about our business model. It's a triple win situation somehow, because when our users purchase product services instead of more polluting ones, they feel good about it. They do something positive for the climate. Our partner earns, we also earn money. So this is a really it's a it's a self-enhancing process. The more impact we have, the more revenue, or the more revenue, the more impact. So this is really something that is super valuable or blessing for me. So I can really focus on maximizing KPIs, ensuring that we maximize either climate or financial impact.
Brilliant. Okay, it's a nice mix to be able to do that and get to that point. So, and to talk to me a little bit about how big is the community at the moment? How many kind of partners do you have, and then beyond that, what does the future look like? Because in the next sort of 2, 3, 5 years, what will climony look like in the future?
A good question. So maybe I answer it by telling you where we are in our process, right? So in May on Earth Day last year, we launched the MVP version of our application, solely based or focusing on evaluating our hypotheses about the market, about our product, and about our channel and user groups. So what we did is we bought really like a rough basis of the product, and that's saying that if you're not ashamed of your MVP, it's not an MVP. Trust me, it's been an MVP, but it's been lovely looking, and we have continued developing the product over time. And there was this time period in which, for our investors, we really checked on all our hypotheses in terms of funnel from user acquisition all the way to checkout. And there we took around 25K to invest into mostly paid social, as a online marketing on social media, namely Meta and TikTok. And here we reached something I like to call value proposition market fit. So we achieved cost per installs that are 3 times less than the European average. So super good margins, super low. And we reached around, with that, we reached around 12,000 downloads within the short time frame, and around 4,000 monthly active users. By that time, we had barely partnerships. Now we're around 20 and approaching 40 slowly, or rather quickly, actually. And this kind of, all these information kind of ensured that with our idea, with our approach, with our value proposition to our users, we can really attract a large user group. And this is kind of based on our Tamsamsam model, which goes around focusing firstly solely in Germany, though, on people who believe in climate change, who already took action in the past, and who want to do more. That's around 14 million people, out of which we focus on the ones who are using smartphones and tablets, participate in online shopping, and mostly buy sustainable products. There we get around 9 million. And if only 5% of those are approached through us, it's a huge target group in Germany alone. And due to our online advertisement that we continue testing in order to be scaling it in the second half of the year, we can already tell now that this is exactly the kind of target group we are reaching. So that's called digitally enabled LOHAS, lifestyle of health and sustainability, which are the ones more city-based, enjoying, let's say, purchasing a subscription model, so really forward-thinking, always looking into climate, and kind of equally distributed between the age of 20 and 45. And now we're currently in the process of developing our product to not only match the value proposition to come from value proposition market fit to product market fit. And this really means increasing our in-app user journeys, adding more value through, let's say, enhanced ways of storytelling, of information providing, of the way we structure and provide content. This is what we're currently working on in close collaboration, obviously, with our users. So we aim to then, in the second half of the year, kind of once our funnel look profitable in a way that when we invest 10 euros in marketing, more than 10 euros gets generated over time. In order to then really scale our launch. And for that, we have around 300K in marketing budget. So we are expecting around 150 to 200,000 users by the downloads by the end of the year, with roughly 30 to 50, depending on how well we kind of improve our onboarding, conversion rate to registered users. And then obviously you can apply the regular retention and drop-off rates after that. But to answer your question, we are currently in the process of developing the product market fit by the mid of this year in order to then really scale our marketing efforts. We are planning major marketing campaigns, one with Google for startups, where we applied and got elected in order to really use the Google consultants on data and performance marketing to really drive our user acquisition goals, besides our own regular, let's say, Meta TikTok campaigns that we're currently optimizing for. And on the other hand, we're starting a collaboration with a major German football club, which potentially also really can kick off our user growth and our public awareness, especially in the press, because it's a B2C app with the very recognized football club. So to really grow in our recognition there. And in 2 to 3 years, obviously, next year, we're planning to scale in UK, Nordics, and Benelux area. So in Europe, basically all countries where we expect a large part of the population to fit our user group as described before in the German market. And obviously also where we can just launch with an English version of the application. To then really, obviously grow from there, but at some point, scaling in users and scaling processes also requires some time to arrive and establish much more around aligned processes, etc. So I think by 2025, we might reach around 1 million users that we are acquiring. That we are nurturing also towards more climate action, obviously paying into our larger group goal to really become the one climate coach that you have in your pocket that helps you grow most effective in terms of climate change or avoiding climate change, actually.
Well, if we get closer, let's hope you exceed that number of 1 million, but that'd be incredible.
I mean, that's the limit, right? As a founder.
Why stop at one? Why,
exactly. I mean, I'm always paid for having big visions, and certainly I do. But I think there's even much more possible. I think we're really in a unique time window where obviously it's still a fragmented market where we're in, but obviously, it always works the same in digital marketing or with the digital business model. So really the one who can attract the most users and partners in some time really then benefits from network effect, etc. So focusing obviously purely on user delight and experience in the very beginning to really is kind of what we are focusing on. Design and beauty also convinces. So really, we are thinking that we are obviously convinced that we can reach this and much larger goals, contributing really to leaping our society to one climate solution in terms of application and increasing awareness and overall social climate action.
Amazing. Well, I mean, there's huge amounts to be done, across the board, right? So from big business to small business to government, but as individuals, we can all be doing. It doesn't have to be huge changes in order to have a significant impact on reducing our carbon footprint. So
agreed. And additionally, I really want to foster, again, this idea that we're all part of various social systems, right? So obviously, we don't offer an enterprise lock-in yet. However, so we are really focusing on households, private people, but those households, they do work in a company and they are part of a legislative system. So really, you know, we're trying to strategically touch all the bases, how one can really, at their best, influence their systems and their surroundings. So it is the individual with the focus on enhancing the collective. That's
well,
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a nice place to kind of leave it for today, Simon. I know there's quite a few things that you sort of mentioned to me that I know you can't really say too much more about. So, you know, perhaps it's a good idea for us to pick this conversation up again. You know, let's say in 6 months' time. You know, when you kind of got out there, like you said, you've been able to kind of go through the process with your, you know, with the Google initiative you mentioned. You know, hopefully that user base will be, you know, significantly higher, creeping towards that 1 million and beyond in the future. So it'd be good to kind of revisit this again in the future and see, you know, learn a bit more about the journey and how things are developing.
Yeah, it would be lovely. Thank you so much for having me today. Been a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. It's been a pleasure having you on, Simon, and I've really enjoyed the conversation. So I'll let you get back to finish up the rest of your day, and I'll look forward to chatting to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, then. Bye-bye.
Bye.